What's happening? We are back with season 3 Iririki coverage, another exit interview here. I am Lauren Pratt, one of the hosts, joined by my co-host McKenna, also joined by the person doing all the exit interviews this season, Lilly. And might I get to our guest, Meredith, my winner pick.
First round draft pick.
I am so sad to see you here, but I'm excited to hear everything you have to say about your game. How are you doing?
I'm not happy to be here this early either, but very devastated that I destroyed your draft, but I did what I could. I think I'm a curse to this season. There was not a tribal I was at where somebody was voted out. There wasn't a tribal that I wasn't at where somebody was voted out.
Mm. Do you think that got to you at all during the game, that you were always going to tribal? Like, do you think you might have had a chance in staying longer if you hadn't been in every tribal to make those connections?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if we had to not have to go to tribal once, maybe we could have sat somebody out for a round. We would have been able to strategize on a game better there. There's a lot of advantages outside of just not having to eliminate somebody from not going to tribal. You can get more time to just talk with people too. Maybe we could have gone to our little separate groups rather than just sticking all together all at once.
In one room, which everyone knows I strongly dislike that.
I kept waiting. I was watching the little rooms. Like, as soon as somebody would have left, I was going to jump to there. I was trying to jump in where people were, and just nobody was moving. There was one time I jumped into a room and I missed everybody. Just as I got in, everybody was gone. I was
like, it's hard to be the first one to venture out.
Yeah. And I think our tribe was a lot more of the newer players too. So I think nobody wanted to be the person to differentiate themselves and give that reason as a name to point out at the next tribal, rather than just sit back and wait for somebody else to do it first.
Yeah. What do you think was your best strategy getting to the point that you got? Because you're right. You went to almost every tribal that somebody was voted out. Do you think there was something that kept you in the game longer than maybe Steven or Caroline?
I mean, I think it was really luck, because it seemed like I popped into the group where Caroline just happened to not be, and I said Caroline first, and then that was the name that people kind of stuck with.
Caroline first, right, Meredith?
I know, I'm so sorry.
I don't think that's luck, though. I think that's a smart, you're exactly right. Nobody else said a name. You were the only one to say it. And so that's, a good reason why it wasn't you. And I think that's a good, you can tell you worked hard to keep yourself in the game. And I think that's important to know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if Caroline would have played the I'm McKenna's mom vibe or card, I probably would have been that's definitely a reason to keep her in. I would have wanted her to have that experience with you. That was what I was most sad about when I heard that.
So
deprived her of that experience with you,
I thought that would be more of a threat to her than she's the host's mother. I thought that would be more threatening than ooh, maybe we could use this or something to that effect. So I guess
me, I probably would have been okay, let's go with Jaden or somebody else then if I had known. I'd give her at least a round to get her bearings so she can play with her daughter. But
so all right, on that note, you guys lose that challenge very badly.
That's putting it nicely. That's putting it nicely, McKenna. You're not supposed to do that.
I'm the nice one out of us too.
I know.
Why didn't you and Caroline, my mother, just go you know what, let's not target each other? You had that chat with Steven about Jaden. I understand Steven's reasoning of let's go Caroline, then we have a backup because he really wanted to work with you. But why not save the person who wanted to be here over someone who maybe didn't have more of an interest? Was it just people weren't scrambling? Was there no way to get that word out?
Yeah, I think in my perspective, it was, I knew that I was the vote unless I changed something. So it was just the next obvious person was unfortunately your mom. And I knew that would be the easiest way to make away from me as the next obvious person. So I just had to kind of jump on that, and sadly it was.
And then you were cursed from then on.
It really was. I think it was the curse. Yeah, I think Stephen had that 100% right.
You were cursed, yeah. Going off of that, when Celestine was dividing up the tribes again, what were you thinking when Stephen got to pick? Were you hoping he was coming to your tribe? And the same with Tom. Were you kind of hoping he would join? Because I can't imagine how it felt to feel like you don't have any control. But I know Stephen mentioned he really wanted to work with you. So that's mainly what drew him to your tribe. And I know
that made me feel really bad when I heard that. And then he was the first person voted out, because he was really, really sweet. I really enjoyed playing with Stephen. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised Stephen didn't go to the other tribe. If I was in his position, I would have gone where there was a better numbers chance. And yeah, I mean, I didn't want Tom because I didn't want another one of those numbers, but I knew I was kind of screwed either way. As soon as I heard her call my name first, and then I went with a bunch of the other tribe, I was like, okay, this is not great for me again.
I think if Stephen hadn't chosen you, you might stand a better chance moving forward, because you might be either the easy vote or that swing vote between Dak to get a Dak member out.
Yeah.
So I think you definitely, I don't know if you would have had a better chance, but higher percentage of you staying around a little bit longer, I think, if Stephen hadn't chosen your tribe.
Yeah.
And when the tribes were switched, did you feel, at least when you're setting up and strategizing for the challenges, that it was more of a conversation, or was it kind of like one person decided and that's how you were doing it?
I think it felt like a conversation for pretty much all of them. Yeah, even especially the first ones where we're all pretty new and it's just we're trying to figure out where we want to go. Nobody had like strong opinions about anything, it seemed. So it was just kind of putting people where we needed people.
Let's talk about the dice challenge, because you were the mastermind, I hear, about feeling for the divots. So talk us through like your strategy, because I wasn't able to see all that. So from me being JS being the one to complete it practically on his own, I thought it was his strategy until I was watching footage back and it was all you. So what was your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I really had to do something. I think having shat the bed so badly in the ping pong challenge, that and hearing that other teams did it a different way and they kind of hacked it, I was looking more towards ways to do that for that challenge. I don't think if it had been that situation beforehand, I would have been thinking about that, but learning that you could hack the challenge and having that reminder was helpful. But yeah, I also never have nails, and I had nails for my wedding and my wedding shower. So I was like, oh, this is a very obvious way to do it. It's just kind of you can like feel right away where the divots are. So
I thought it was brilliant. And then we get to the issue where you pick the wrong person to do the puzzle.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't honestly remember. If I were to guess, I would have thought that he volunteered for it, but I honestly can't remember how he got assigned to the puzzle.
Well, because he had your stuff, Lauren, right? Like he had the dice to do everything, correct?
Yeah, he had all my stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So like that's what I don't. Yeah, we were just shocked. We were like Jaden on the puzzle, and I was like, oh. Well, we heard from Stephen that he very much did not want the puzzle. So I don't know if anybody else would have felt comfortable on the puzzle. I don't know, but your two puzzle people had been like Jaden and Stephen. So
yeah, I definitely didn't want that position because it was a solo position and I just did so poorly in the ping pong. I didn't want to put myself in like a place of spotlight again, just in case like I did majorly fuck up again, but didn't matter.
I think it's hard too, because I don't think you did, other than the ping pong, and I wouldn't say you did terrible, coming from somebody who's done terrible and all of the challenges I've done. You know what I mean? I don't think you've done that poorly, but it seems like you were so worried about doing poorly that it got in your head. Do you think that happened?
And I wish the people who were just like chilling and sitting back would have noticed that other people were doing it a different way and said something. Because like I was just like trying to shoot and like knew that every shot counted, and like I'm eternal optimist also. Like I 100% the next shot I'm going to get it. So like, I didn't think, oh, I should stop and see how the other people are doing it and if they're doing it a different way. I wish somebody on our team would have said something, but
I was surprised about that too. Like none of the observers were like, hey, Meredith, try like leaning forward a bit more. Or, I mean, Garret did say in our chat that he was very like, he's a very strict beer pong guy. So like the elbow rule, but it's like, we're not playing strict beer pong.
Yeah, I'm so used to being yelled at by frat guys and people at dorm parties about my elbows and beer pong. Like it's like burned into me that you can't extend past a certain point, but I should have paid more attention rather than just aimlessly shooting. Also, I wish I would have like planned ahead and set up my area better, because being on the floor and having a limited space where the balls could go would have been better. I thought I was being smart having like the little backboard, but that was just like knocking things to the other side of the table. I also had like all my wedding supplies set up on the table, and like everything was a mess because I was getting married 2 weeks later. So like I was still like, everything was everywhere. I wish I had like had a better space to set up into.
I will say that is something you can definitely tell returning, like players that have done this before, they know the drill. Like they know what rules they can stretch. Whereas if it's you don't even think to ask those kind of questions. Like you would never think to lean over. So it's definitely, it can be hard, especially if your team isn't communicating, like you said. And so go ahead, McKenna.
I was going to say certain puzzles in Survivor and in our games have certain rules. Like some are only the puzzle solver can do it, but then others are, hey, you can ask for help and the team can kind of chime in a little bit. So that's where I was confused with Jaden, where he can't like give out the letters, but he could be like, there's something that I'm missing, guys, help me out. And you guys were like wondering like, all right, he's just trying to figure everything out. We can't see anything, so we're just going to moral support him.
But I think JS said something. I think JS was trying to say, hey, like, is it, a Survivor type phrase? Like, think about that. But here's the issue. As soon as y'all said Jaden was on it, I said, oh, he ain't gonna know the Survivor phrase. So y'all toast.
Yeah, I did not know he wasn't a Survivor fan either. I did not know that either. So.
Well, and I think it's hard because the other puzzle guy is also sitting there. So you can only kind of nudge them so far because you only had the leg up because they were still working on their die. So he's still sitting there listening to all of the hints and clues that would be given off.
Maybe not. It was James. He was sleepy.
And he was also feeling himself with his dancing abilities.
That's funny. So with this, well, before we get to the last challenge we saw, in a perfect world, I'm just curious, if Steven stayed in and you voted out Vinny, and if you had to go to tribal again, who would you kind of have tried to work with Steven in getting out next?
If that would have happened, that meant that James flipped with us and agreed with us. So I probably would have tried to stick with him. Maybe because now that's having
but he has the idol.
He really was. Well, that's having the hindsight of knowing that he really was sleepy and he didn't have the idol. But I probably would have worked with him just because I got from Brett, that's his name. I got he knew what he was doing, and especially watching it back, he knew how to like try to play me afterwards. Like, so it's probably having hindsight now. But I probably would have gone for Brett. And originally I probably would have gotten James out before Vinny, and then I probably would have gone for Vinny next. But because I did have like my eye on Vinny, but
yeah, again, it's hard because you don't know these people, so how do you put a target on anybody's back as soon as you lose? Yeah. So we go into this next challenge. Steven is gone, and it's the dice or the card memory. How did you guys decide who went? Was it kind of just like, oh, I'll go, and that's kind of how you decided? Was there any strategy talk?
I don't think so. I think it was just kind of, I don't think there was much strategy involved with that one. I knew I was not going to be good at the flash memory game. But yeah.
And as soon as you guys lose, do you feel like it's you?
I knew that they weren't going to break up just from like earlier trying to go between me and Steven, trying to get in with one of them or break them up then. Like, there was no way that they were going to separate.
Yeah. And I think with that challenge, you guys again were so close where Brett almost had that point for you guys. If the cards were something on the end where it's like, oh, these fell off the pile, it was because they were right in the middle of the sequence where we were like, whoa, that's not like, that can't fly. So that's why we had to check Bill's first. But you, again, so close to winning a challenge.
I know. No, I understand that because it did look, they were like almost straight in a row all together. Yeah. And he said like they had just been under his computer when he lifted them up and they came down. But I can understand why he had to make that call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it.
No, you're not. Are you kidding?
Yeah, Lauren, you're really not that sorry. I mean, sometimes I am, but I do have a question for you. Mm-hmm. If you would have made it to like the next round after that, what would have been your game plan moving forward? Because obviously a potential merge is probably approaching, but you never know. And so your tribe's really dwindling there. So if you would have survived, what do you think you would have done?
In terms of trying to
stick with one less Dak, and James
2-1,
and Jay and Garret are still around. Jay and Garret are still around. Your original WOTA.
Oh, okay. We were on the original WOTA. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably trying to stick with them. I really, really liked Jay. I really liked Steven. I think that I would have liked to work with them going forward. Garret, I didn't really have strong feelings on, and now watching it back, he was kind of the one voting for me, and I didn't know that. So I don't know that he would have aligned with me, but I would have tried to stick with Jay and Steven because I liked both of them a lot. Probably would have also tried to get in with Celestina once the merge happened too.
Yeah.
Because the only women left trying to stick together.
Yeah, because you voted out the other one.
I had to. It was her or me. I had to.
But it didn't have to be. So many people were like, yeah, the group consensus is Caroline. we don't really want to go Caroline, but no one else is saying anything else.
Yeah.
I was just happy at that point it wasn't me because it should have been me. And I was going with whoever it was.
I get your position. I've talked to my mom about it too. And as if you guys just came together instead of going at each other, then it would have been.
I don't know if I was put into the group first or when she was.
I think she got pulled for confessional like first. You guys hadn't been scrambling. You guys were all in the same room, and then you took the opportunity to be like.
Just like, hey, while we're here, while she's not, but yeah, you got to take that opportunity. And I'm sorry again.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Hey, Lily, do you have any more questions?
I just have the one at the end, but
okay. Lauren, go to Facebook.
Yeah, I'm working on doing my role here, and we are getting to the questions. All right. This one is from JM. Hey, Meredith. So sad I didn't get to meet you. What is something memorable you will take from this game?
I mean, voting out McKenna's mom, because that was like such a shock when you dropped that. And it was like the first episode. It was like, okay, wow. That's probably the thing that's most memorable for sure.
Awesome. And then also, what is something you learned about yourself during this game?
Then I'm not a challenge beast like I thought I am. Like I would 100% be dead if this were Squid Game. Like I cannot play Squid Game for sure. Like I cannot do these playground recess games. Apparently, I need to work on my minute to win it skills before I play another one. But
I love that we brought in Squid Games. I'm here.
Oh yeah, Squid Game Halloween costume actually.
Ooh. JS would not be happy with you.
Yeah, JS is like a hater of the Squid Games.
It's so good. I don't know why. It's so good.
All right. This is from Bill. Meredith, sorry our paths never crossed. So did the wedding stay on track even though you went out pre-merge? If so, congrats.
Yes, thank you, Bill. I will take your congratulations. As you may have heard, my husband, my fiance, then yelled that he would still marry me if I didn't get the merge. So he held on to that promise. We got married back in July. We're actually going on our honeymoon in a couple weeks to Costa Rica.
Yeah, congratulations. Awesome. That's awesome.
We're very excited.
All right. Got the winner here from Exile Island, Alex Cousins. Wants to know, I think your pitch to get James out was the smart move. Did you ever consider going for Brett or Vinny?
I mean, I initially went for Vinny and I name dropped him literally as he was popping back into the chat. So that was like super awkward. I don't know how I honestly made it past that vote. He voted for Steven after that, but I was really surprised by that. But yeah, I would have been fine to go with Vinny, but I felt like I was getting a better response from Brett and Vinny regarding James. So that's kind of why I was pushing on that. They were at least like placated me and be like, let's go talk at the well by ourselves and we'll discuss it and get back to, they were at least placating me, where James was just like, I don't know, pitch your case, we'll see what happens. So
I think you might have had maybe the best chance to talk to James and Vinny now looking at like confessionals and stuff where they're like, Brett could be a little snaky, Brett is nice, but I have my eye. So what I was getting from Brett and from Vinny, they were both like, we love James. Again, this is me watching the edit of everything and like watching confessionals, which you have no access to. So like, you did the best thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah. And I think I even brought up Brett at one point when it was just James and Vinny, but again, they didn't really latch on. I think I pitched it to every twosome that I encountered while they were pulling out.
From JS. Hi, Meredith. So bummed you went pre-merge. If you could play the game again, what if anything would you do differently, and what would you do the same?
I think a lot of like the gameplay would be the same. I think I would have practiced minute to win it games more. I was kind of hyper fixated on wedding stuff and not Survivor at that point since it was 2 weeks away. So I was excited to play, but I wasn't really thinking about it much until the day of the game. So probably just planning and prepping more like my space and watching a couple episodes before. The mechanics of like the safety text and the idol and stuff, like I didn't catch on to that at all for a while. So having kind of an understanding at that, the get-go would have been helpful. But I think it would have been all like preparation stuff. I think I would have probably played the same in the game because I can't really control that I would have hit in the cup every time for the ping pong game. But just maybe taking the chance on puzzles, at least on the ping pong challenge, rather than shooting the cups. I was kind of scared of the puzzles, but I think I probably could have done that one specifically, and it would have been better than going on the puzzles when it was just me. So
yeah. To anybody watching, we do highly recommend watching any of our seasons, any of our minis, because it does give you a little insight on maybe something we would do, some challenges that like, ooh, this is kind of like a staple for what we do. So you can kind of practice and anything. So like potential people being cast, watch yourself.
Oh yeah, that's like the number one thing I would have recommended to myself to have done. I watched a couple of David Jackson's games or episodes of his one game that he played because he's one of my good friends, but I didn't really dig into much otherwise. I wish I would have, but
yeah, I mean, and that was our first season too. That was our first rodeo and all this. But
shout out to David. Love David.
David's amazing.
So glad he recommended you to play. He's awesome. I've gotten to play with him before. So
yeah, he was one of my groomsmen in my wedding recently. We compete like brother and sister. So the fact that he's done significantly better in Survivor orgs than I have to this point is like grading on me every day. So it's
who knows, maybe there's a second chance season coming up.
There you go. I would be down for that, or I might at some point down the line just have to give up and try to find something else to excel at that I know he can't. So
there you go.
Good idea.
Yeah. Love this. All right, this is just a comment from Celestina. Sad to see you go, but props to you for doing whatever you could to try and save yourself. It didn't work out, but I'm super glad you tried to make some moves and play the game.
Oh, thanks, Celestina. I liked her. I didn't get to interact with her much, but I liked her.
Yeah, so that's all the Facebook questions I have. Lily, take it away.
The final question, I'm keeping Denny's tradition. If you had to sum up your game in one word, what would it be? And then you can give an explanation. Yeah.
Cursed. Obviously. Cursed. I don't know if it was Caroline who implemented the curse or Steven when he voiced it vocally, but at some point it became cursed. But yeah, I would say probably cursed. Disappointing. I mean, I would have rather gone another way, but curse is a funner way to put it.
I think that's a good one. It was still great to watch you play. I think you had really good moments that kept you in the game to the point that you did, but you're right. Just it wasn't on your side this go around. So I hope that means we'll get to see you more. And it was really great watching you and hearing your thoughts about the game.
Yeah, well, thank you guys too. I'm like so impressed seeing it all come together and watching how much work you guys put into it. Like, I'm very, very impressed, and you guys should be very proud of what you do. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you so much, Meredith. It was a pleasure having you come and chat with us. I love doing the exit interviews because we get the perspective of the players and what they went through in the game. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Everyone else, be sure to check out all the content that we have going on right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Survivor Game Show Network. Join the Facebook page, Survivor Game Show Network yet again. And be sure to check out what's going on for future seasons. We're going to be casting at some point because we're always doing something over there at our channel. And thanks again, McKenna, as always. Lilly, thank you so much. Meredith, I hope to see you play again. And with that, take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.